Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you are well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more art slash my butthole. Ooh, I went off on that one. If you love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, all really helps out the channel. And let's crack straight on with today's first story. And today's first story does follow with an update. It's from the Anubis Prophet, who says, am I the arsehole for turning down a Christmas dinner invitation from my mum's family? So I, 21 female, am currently in university and live on a dorm, using my own money and everything. My mum, 40 female, had me when she was 19. My dad joined the military to provide, and so he was gone most of the time. My parents split up when I was young, and my mum and I moved across the country. My mum started dating again when I was a teenager, and it was like I became invisible. When she married Gregory, 50 male, it became even different. I grew really resentful when my mum had a new baby, and I'll admit that it wasn't healthy and neither was my attitude. When the time for university came, I got a good enough scholarship and moved out. I am honestly surprised they noticed I was even gone. I've gotten 2 texts from my mum a year. Happy birthday and Happy New Year's. Only this year did I get a 3rd text, and that was just to announce I have a new baby sister. So I got an email the other day that was pretty much an invite to Christmas dinner that they were hosting, and it seems like a lot of extended family are going to be there. I don't want to be there, so I declined the invite. Yesterday I got a phone call from my mum crying about me deciding not to come for dinner and really wanting to see me. Then Gregory took the phone and all, but called me an arsehole while scolding me. It's made me feel a little bad because she's still my mum and I feel like I should just go for her sake. And as I said, we have an update and we'll cover some additional comments with some information as well, but absolutely not the arsehole to me. And it just reminds me of the stories, where one of the partners goes off and gets involved with a new family. They have more kids or they have stepchildren and they treat them better, they treat them better than the children that they've left behind. And it's incredibly sad, and to know that OPs grew up feeling resentful when their mum had a new baby, all because of the way that mum has treated OP in this situation. Only 2 texts a year after all this time. And then expecting you to turn up to Christmas dinner like, oh, my glorious family, with a mum that's treated me like shit. Absolutely not the arsehole. I don't know how you could be in this situation. And don't get me wrong, I totally get what OP's saying in the end, that it's made them feel a little bad because she's still my mum. And I know not for all, but breaking off family like that would be incredibly difficult. And that's just from my perspective there. I know many people will and have told me in the past, no, they could do it if they wanted to, and they have done it, so. But Morgborg says, not the arsehole. They weren't there for you when you needed them. That's literally a parent's job. Green Coconut replies that saying, yep, not the arsehole. She's crying and he's mad because your absence at Christmas will raise a ton of questions about their parenting or lack thereof, that they aren't comfortable answering because it'll make them look bad. OP replies saying, I doubt it. The entire extended family knows and they aren't hiding that. I'm not part of the family according to my grandmother. And she's shown me Facebook photos where they've had captions like complete family and other stuff. And while my grandmother said she'd like me to reconcile, she thinks it's better for me if I don't. As much as I dislike Gregory, I do know him well enough to know that he does love my mum and he hates seeing her cry. As for mum, I'm sure she wants to see me for me or because she feels bad, but that doesn't mean she deserves it. She didn't even invite me with a phone call or text, just an impersonal invite. I really do feel terrible for making her cry though, and I do wish I hadn't done that. Rabbit says, only text from your mum each year, no phone calls until now. Not the arsehole, you do what suits you. They've treated you like an acquaintance since you started dating and eventually married. It would be only normal for you to not wish to attend. Why waste a holiday with people who treat you that way? Your mother's husband insults prove how he's felt all along. All the best to you. Responsible Judge says absolutely not the arsehole. Just because they want to play happy family for the other family members doesn't mean you need to play too. I bet your other family members don't know you're estranged from your mother and her husband, like making excuses when you aren't home for birthdays and stuff because you are busy with uni. And now that the others will be coming, there will be questions if you don't come around because family and stuff. Let me tell you, if you don't want to go, then don't go. Don't let them guilt trip you. You owe them, or especially your mother, nothing. And one more, because that is a reply from OP as well, from Jazz Like Humor, who says, not the arsehole, 2 texts a year. It is telling that you say the invitation is from my mum's family, rather than my mum or my family. Her actions made it so you don't consider yourself part of her family anymore. If your mother wants to reconnect, she needs to do the work of fixing the neglect of you when you were still a minor. And that takes more than an invitation to a family party, where they probably just want you there to play happy family and make them look good. Having said that, think about damage control. You say the extended family will be there. Is there anyone where you do care about them, or they think about you? What will your mother and stepfather say about you to everyone if you aren't there? Not being there lets them control what is being said about you. Is this something you can live with? If, say, you like your grandparents and they will be there, having lunch with them the week before and talking to them, letting them know what happened to you, will let you control the narrative. OP replies one more time saying, my grandma will be there and she knows everything. She's the only one I visit and even care about. She's shown me the Christmas cards and Facebook photos they've posted, and it's all in such a way that it's like that's been the only family my mum's ever had, and like I haven't existed. The relatives that'll be there are always commenting positive shit to them too. So now let's move on to the update to see what that says. So my mum's Christmas party went and passed this past Friday, and I figured I'd make this post as an update. Like I thought, my mum phoned me back because my grandma made her. She asked me to meet in person, but I said I didn't feel comfortable. She said she could bring Gregory or Grandma if it would help. I said hell no to Gregory, which surprised her, but I did agree to Grandma. After snow issues, we met in a coffee shop with Grandma claiming she would be a mediator. I looked at my post to see your guys' advice to, guide me before I left. I admitted to Mum that I didn't want to see her, but thought this call would clear the air. I asked why barely only 2 texts a year, and she said Gregory told her college kids didn't need their mums and she would be interfering. I asked why she couldn't at least phone me to invite me, and she said Gregory told her sending an invite made me on the same level as the other relatives. Sending an invite made me on the same level as the other relatives, and I would like being respected. That made no fucking sense to me, and I got so mad. I asked why the fuck she even wanted me there when she would treat me like extended family. She told me when I was gone, seeing how Gregory treated their kids made her realize she neglected me. She'd been going to therapy and wanted us to mend things. I pointed out listening to Gregory about me then was the dumbest possible thing she could do, since he never liked me. I knew I'd start crying like a little bitch, so I started ranting about how I'd rather not meet my half-siblings since I know I'd resent them. They don't deserve that. How my extended family also cast me out. How everyone blamed therapy not working on me. My mum was shocked, and even more shocked when Grandma took my side in everything. I told her I was really sorry that I made her cry, and it didn't make me feel better. She forgave me on that, but told me it wasn't my fault and she deserved it. My mum asked if I'd ever come home, and I said that Gregory would either need to apologize or die. That was a bit harsh since I don't want him to die, so I said if he leaves forever is good too. My mum said she understood, started crying, apologized like 100 times, and asked if she could text or phone me more often. I said sure, but it still makes me feel like shit to see my mum cry. Since then, Mum has texted me and called me every day, but hasn't tried to force things. I did not go to the party since Gregory has not apologized. Grandma has been staying with them and things aren't too good between them. They had big fights over him refusing to say sorry and how he treated me, and aren't talking. I don't want my mum's marriage to end for the sake of her other kids, but I can't lie, it feels good to not be ignored. Apparently my mum wants to meet on Christmas or Christmas Eve. As long as Grandma comes, I'll let her, but I don't know if we'll ever be close again. So thanks guys, your advice really did help and I'm feeling better mentally. Edit, met with my mum again, and the comment is here. So let's head straight to that comment to see what that says. So I did meet with my mum. Grandma came too as per instructions for lunch. We didn't talk about Gregory or anything. It was just a short meeting over coffee. We just talked about school, the engineering program I'm in, guys I've dated and stuff. I guess it was nice to talk about myself even if it was awkward. She did ask me to spend more time with Grandma, and that made Grandma smirk, which means Grandma kept her promise about never revealing we hang out. I paid for Mum as a gift, and she gave me an old baby photo of me that she redeveloped as a gift. I thought that was nice. I let her hug me goodbye. She didn't cry this time, so I don't feel like crap. It feels weird, and I know it will for a long time, maybe forever. It's hard letting go of hurt, but it is what it is. Hope you guys have a good Christmas. And with many updates that we get, it is sad in some ways, but there is positives within there as well. For someone to reflect that they've done badly in life, obviously it's not excusing the past history, but to admit their faults and try to be a better person. That's got to be a positive in some ways, especially when OP's trying to accept it as well and build some relationship back, and they clearly want that relationship. But it may be my mind just going overboard in this one, but when the mum was saying that Gregory said this, Gregory said that, like you want to be respected and various things like that, it made me feel like he was purposely trying to cast OP out. And again, this might be totally overboard. He may have been telling the truth that, you know, he just wanted you to feel respected and as you're an adult now kind of thing. Or he may just be a complete manipulative ass. What do you guys think on that one? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from I Sold the Family Heirloom, who says, am I the arsehole for selling my ex-fiance's family heirloom when he wouldn't pay me back for our cancelled wedding? I, 27 female, was supposed to get married to my ex-fiance, Mason, 29 male, on the 20th of this month. But last week a mutual friend caught him cheating on his ex, Kim, so I called it off. Because it's so close to our wedding date, I already booked everything like the venue, catering and everything else. I barely managed to get any money back as it's mostly non-refundable, so in total I've lost $20,000. Last year I took out a loan to cover the cost of the wedding. The longer I take to repay it, the more interest it gets. When we first got engaged, Mason agreed to sharing our finances together, meaning had we got married I would have been able to pay it off. This was supposed to be in our prenup, but because we didn't get married, it meant he no longer had to share finances. I asked him if he was still willing to help and told him that I will go into debt if he doesn't, as I can't repay it alone. He told me, it isn't my problem, you took out a loan you can't pay back, and stopped responding after that. When we got engaged, Mason proposed to me with a family heirloom ring belonging to his great-grandmother that was worth $25,000. When we cancelled the wedding, he told me he wanted the ring back, but we never got around to arranging a time he could pick it up. Because I don't want to go into debt, I told him that if he didn't agree to help pay it off, I wanted a lawyer involved, that I would sell the ring. He didn't reply and ignored the messages. However, after talking to a mutual friend, Jake, I found out he actually read messages and told everyone he didn't care because I wouldn't do it. I asked Jake to tell Mason that if I don't get a message from him in the next 24 hours, that I would sell the ring. Jake told me he again said he didn't care and didn't think I would do it. So the next day I sold the ring to an online website and messaged Mason to tell him that it had been done and told him he shouldn't have underestimated me. He started cussing me out, saying I didn't scare him and that he would be around for the ring later. True to his word, he came to my house demanding the ring, and I told him I sold it already and showed him the proof. He blew up at me, saying I was a petty bitch and that I shouldn't have sold it because it wasn't just a ring. It was an heirloom that meant a lot to his family. A lot of my family members think that I overreacted and shouldn't have gone to extreme measures. It will be hard for him to get the ring back, if he even can at all. Am I the arsehole for selling his great-grandmother's ring? Now, I kind of possibly get the feeling of where this might go in the comments that, you know, that you piss around, you get found out basically. So I'm gonna try to find any controversial ones I can in the comments. Well, controversial as possible in this situation. And just a quick scan there, yeah, most of them are not the arsehole in the top section. So the controversial ones would be Driftwood 1884, who says everyone sucks here. If it had been me and I knew it was a special ring, then I would have gone to his parents and told them it was going to be sold. This would allow for them to pay you for the ring, and they could have dealt with their son, not you. Also, you should speak with an attorney sooner than later, depending on where you are and how they see things, such as who actually owns the ring, because some places it was a gift and belongs to you, in others it belongs to him because you called off the wedding. I'm not an attorney, These are just instances that I've heard about. You could also see if you have a lawsuit against the guy to pay for the entire wedding because it was him who derailed it. Again, all questions for an attorney. Come here, Devil Log says everyone sucks here. OP's the arsehole because I think if you're honest, you knew it would piss him off to do this and you wanted it to hurt, and rightfully so, but still an arsehole. Also, taking a loan out for a wedding is one of the most wild things I've ever read. Mason's the arsehole for nearly every reason imaginable, it would seem. Admirable Site 9817 says everyone sucks here. Obviously, he's an arsehole for cheating and refusing to pay his share, but legally, he's only responsible for half of the wedding costs, so $10,000. You sold his family heirloom to recoup more than the cost of the wedding out of spite. Holding the ring hostage until he does pay, taking him to small claims court, discussing things with his family first are all options you could have taken before doing this. And one more comment because the majority of the top comments were not the arsehole. But Good Girls Grey says that cheating alone should be enough basis for Mason to pay OP back. Her loans essentially went to waste because he can't keep his dick in his pants. She only did what she needed to do. Does this dude have a brain? The stupidest thing you can do to a family heirloom is to give it to someone you know you will cheat on. If it's so meaningful and invaluable, try giving it to someone who he gives a fuck about. And then to ignore her because she wouldn't dare sell it. Who does this dude think he is? OP, not the arsehole, you let him off easy. I'd use the remaining money to buy a cheaper copy of the ring, take a beautiful photo of it, then tell Mason you decided to keep the ring because he wouldn't pay and the heirloom has special debt paying powers. Gotta get something out of that shitty engagement. Also, never take out a loan for weddings, OP. If you can't afford a wedding without taking out loans, just do it in a courthouse. You can never know if your fiance turns out to be a Mason. Now, what do you guys make of this one? Do you agree with some of them comments there that it could be a possible everyone sucks here? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below and we'll move on to another story. And our next story comes from Am I the Arsehole Nudist Brother? Ooh. Am I the arsehole for threatening to kick my brother out over his lifestyle choices? He's a nudist. Recently, my 27 female brother, 23 male, lost his job and couldn't afford rent, so I decided to let him stay at my apartment rent-free until he got another. I'm able to support 2 people. We have a good relationship and he agreed to do half of the chores and the cooking. He cooks pretty well, so I thought it was a great deal. Yesterday, when I came home from my job, I had the surprise to see my brother naked on my couch, watching the TV. I froze a bit out of shock, then asked him what the hell he was doing sitting on my couch naked. He tried to explain himself, but I just told him to put on clothes first and we would talk later. Once he got dressed, he told me that he was a nudist, that he preferred to not wear clothes because it was healthier and more natural. I told him that I didn't have a problem with him being a nudist, it's just that I didn't want to see him naked in my home. I explained to him that he is my brother and I don't feel comfortable seeing his private parts at all, and that even if he didn't see nudity as sexual, I did. He answered that he wouldn't put clothes on when he was home and it was tiring enough to be dressed in public. I told him that if he would like to be naked at home, he needed to find his own place. I let him know he needed to make a decision, be clothed here or he had to get out. Today he mostly ignored me and was clothed thankfully. And I feel guilty because he would probably be homeless if I kicked him out, but at the same time, I don't want to see him naked. Well, now I'll start off by saying, I got nothing against nudists and, if you want to do that in your own home, that's absolutely fine. More power to you. Who doesn't like that bit of freedom once in a while? But you're staying in your sister's place. I put it in the situation, if my brother turned up here, I took him in, and I walked in to see his naked ass sitting on my furniture, I'd be pissed off. That's not an image I want in my head. And just who thinks this is acceptable? Like putting my feet in the brother's shoes. Wow, he ain't even got shoes on. So being in the brother's position and staying in someone's place rent free until I can get another place, there's no way I would try and inflict my way of living on someone else. And as I said, I've got no problem with it whatsoever, but in someone else's place, you've got to respect their rules, I think. And now let's move on to the comments to see what that says. And we're going to start with Cassandra Veritas, who says, not the arsehole. I actually don't think even nudists are cool with the idea of forcing others to accept your nudity in their homes. Finn Illusion says, not the arsehole. Brother or not, telling people staying in your home that they need to wear clothes in common areas is a reasonable boundary. Lex Kixar says, not the arsehole. He can be naked in his bedroom, but shared space means he needs clothes. If he gets really pissy, he can at the very least get a proper loincloth or move out. Living Like Riley says, not the arsehole. Your brother is a fool if he thinks he can make rules in your home when you're allowing him to live there rent free. If he has his own room, tell him to be naked there, otherwise put on some shorts. He's taking a liberty that he knows would only fly in his own home by himself. Until then, he needs to cover his ass and dangly bits, unless he likes living in his car or a box. God, I'm such a child. Anyway, what do you guys make of this one? How would you deal with this situation? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, a huge thank you for spending 20 to 30 minutes with me today, getting involved in the channel. It means the absolute world. If you do have a moment of your time and you haven't as yet, would you please consider hitting that like button right now? Really helps out. And I will see you in the next one. Take care, guys. Much love.